system that we live in is programmed to make us dislike ourselves, and if you dislike yourself, how can you do anything effectively and feel good about what you're doing? So
Ladies and gentlemen, straight to the point, straight to the streets. We're down here in Northeast DC, Union Market to be exact. Now today we're doing something a little bit different. Normally we hit the streets talking to the people about what's going on in the world, but today with the elections in DC coming up, we wanted to talk to the candidates running for mayor and city council to kind of give you guys an idea of who and what is going on. With that being said, we have a very special guest today. Who do we have the pleasure of speaking with?
Dwight Davis.
Dwight, we thank you for giving us your time today, and because time is precious, we're not going to waste yours. So Dwight, before we get into this, tell us a little bit about yourself. How did we get here today? What kind of motivated you to run for city council?
Sure. First and foremost, I'm a native Washingtonian, born and raised here in D.C. I've been in education for over 22 years, so I'm an educator at my core. And what really got me here was my love for the city. For most of my career, I worked in Wards 4 and Wards 5 as a teacher, as an instructional coach, as an assistant principal and principal. But then I had the privilege to go and work at Kramer Middle School, where you have beautiful families, beautiful community. But the disparities there actually broke my heart. You have communities that are living in a food desert, an economic desert, where services are not consistent, not reliable. And being in the classroom for so long, I realized that I had to do more. Like if we want a strong or future-ready DC, like it's going to require us to ask more of ourselves. So I decided to leave the classroom, which was a very difficult decision, and to put myself in a race so I can champion the children, the youth.
Now, you're kind of going to lead us into two of our main points that we want to talk to today, right?
Okay.
And education.
Yeah.
If and when elected to city council, what is your plan to kind of reconnect the communities with the schools?
Yeah, I think connection comes with listening, right? Being present. I want to tell you about something that I learned as a school leader. So I was a principal at Brown Education Campus. Shout out to Ward 5, to the Brown Bombers. And as a first-year principal, I went into the school with all of these phenomenal ideas about how things needed to change and how they would change, right? I didn't really take into account all of the institutional knowledge that was already there in the school, right? Now, the teachers and the students in the community, they love me, I love them, and they were willing to work with me, but I had to learn a valuable lesson. That lesson is the people closest to the problem are closest to the solution. So by year 2, I started to engage the faculty, the staff, the parents, the community, and I started to ask them, especially the students, what do you want to have change? Well, the students told me, Mr. Davis, we need the food to change. And what we did was we worked with my operations manager, and we found another chef to come into the school, right? The chef, Mr. Larry Troxler, was so phenomenal, right? He radically changed the food that was presented at breakfast and at lunch. And more students started to come to school early. More students started to, sometimes when you bring your kids in from outside, they want to stay outside. But no, the kids started to come in because they wanted to eat the delicious food. It fundamentally changed the behaviors and the culture within our building. Why? Because I listened to the students, right? I didn't just tell them okay and not do anything. I listened to them. Now, the same thing was true. We had a lot of families when it came time for winter. Some families had difficulty finding coats. Many children didn't have, Christmas gifts. So I started to talk to the teachers. Hey, what can we do about this? One teacher said, hey, we need to have a coat drive. Another teacher said, hey, we need to have a toy drive. Another teacher, Ms. Gamble, she said, listen, we need to provide food to our families because they don't have access to food. So we started to work together, and I started to ask strategic questions about how we can make this happen. And for almost 2 years, we provided a Saturday opportunity where parents can come and get produce boxes. During the winter months, they can come get coats. My instructional coach, she provided books. So it was this, we had another organization that we were working with. They provided toiletries, they provided diapers for new parents. It became this robust opportunity for parents to get what they needed, right? All because we listened to the parents and we worked together to solve some of the problems that were taking place, right? So I think that is what is needed, right? And I want to add this caveat too. The school cannot be the only unit of change, right? The school is important. The school is a very important institution, but we also need to make sure that the other institutions are connected and they are working effectively so that all of the pressure doesn't fall on the school and the teachers.
Being that you serve the youth population, I'm pretty sure you're familiar with how they're viewed and some of the incidents that have taken place in the last few years with our youth in terms of violence.
Yes.
Now, whenever violence is brought up in the city, we always talk about our youth that bring us to the takeovers.
Yeah.
And kind of speak of them as the only problem when it comes to violence.
Right, right.
In terms of giving the youth autonomy and making them feel like a part of the community, that's something that a lot of the youth explained and talked to us about, so they don't feel a part of the community.
That's right, that's right.
If and when elected, do you think that is a quality solution to the youth violence? And if so, what is your plan to re-immerse the youth into the DC population as actual residents?
Yeah, I really think that's a really important issue. I think what we're seeing is not a youth problem, it's an investment problem, right? When you really look at it, during my time in schools, we have a lot of robust programming in elementary school, and we have a lot of robust programming in high school. And the missed opportunity is to ensure that we have robust programming in the middle school years. Some of us think that when our children are getting older, they don't need us as much, but they need us most then, right? So as a council member, I think it's important that we provide opportunities to hear from the youth. I mean, we need to have youth forums where we give the youth opportunities to talk about the issues and to talk about what are some of the solutions. I think some of the solutions have to do with how are we training our young people for this new economy that's coming, right? AI is a part of everything that we do. I'm sure it's a part of what you do as well, right? So how are we preparing the youth for this new economy that's coming? We need to be thinking about that. What types of programs can we put in place now? How can we make sure that they have the skills that they need for 10, 15 years from now? That all starts now. We also need, we are at a time when a lot of programming is being cut, right? And this is precisely at a time when youth need more programming. So there was a youth forum this past Wednesday, and I had a chance to talk to some of the youth there before the program got started. And they said, Mr. Davis, we just need someplace, we want someplace to go and chill. They told me how they know people who go to the teen takeover, and there's a lot of good kids who go to the teen takeover, but they just want something to do. Like there's not a safe recreation center they can go to. Sometimes they go to the recreation center and they get put out. They need caring adults to provide opportunities for them, right? One young man said, Mr. Davis, people are always judging me by my decisions, but they never judge me based on my opportunity. That says it all, right? Our youth need robust opportunities to engage with caring adults and to build skills that will make them economically viable. That is an investment problem. That's not a youth problem.
Now, sticking with our vulnerable populations in DC, we want to move to the elderly. So we spoke with some seniors and some senior advocates. And it was kind of a deep conversation that we had with them. A lot of the seniors said they feel like they're neglected. The last years of their life is just blown. They spoke to services being diminished from the DC Office of Aging. And some people in the senior living facilities talked about mistreatment. And when this mistreatment is reported, they're met with hostility. If and when elected, what is your plan? How do you envision re-immersing and supporting the elderly population so they don't feel this dread in the latter years of their life?
See, and I'm glad you asked that question. I want to tell you about someone who is near and dear to my heart, Grandma McDonald. We worked together for about 4 years at Wheatley Education Campus, not too far from here. Grandma McDonald was in a UPO program, and that program provided an opportunity for seniors to go into schools and work with teachers. And when I tell you, I loved having Grandma McDonald in my classroom. She was so just excited and loving and caring, but very like old school, firm, right? And for many of my students who had difficulty adjusting in the classroom, she was exactly what they needed. She knew how to give them a hug. She knew how to talk to them, right? But she would also say, hey, Mr. Davis, oh no, she would say to the kids, hey, y'all settle down because I'm trying to learn my lesson, right? It was this wonderful opportunity for a senior and the young people to connect and just learn from one another. And I think there are opportunities for programs like this, seniors that are more mobile, to have an opportunity to engage with our youth and teach them about their stories, about their journey, right? Like, we have these two populations that feel isolated and unseen. There are opportunities for us to bring them together, right? For opportunities for the youth to learn from our seniors, and opportunities for our seniors to learn a little something from our youth. I think these are like, not easy, but these are solutions right in our face that can help us solve some of these problems.
Now, we're going to switch to the economics a little bit.
Okay.
So, one thing we talk with residents about is that they all express concern about is the cost of living.
Yeah.
Too damn expensive.
Yeah.
We recently did an episode, not recently, a few months ago, we did an episode right here in this spot about cost of living.
Okay.
And some of the people who spoke with us, they shared that as much as they love DC, it is very hard for them to call this place home and see themselves here because of how expensive it is.
Yeah.
One of the reasons they talked about was the predatory traffic enforcement.
Yeah.
They also talked about the insane rent
Yeah.
that they pay.
Yeah.
If and when elected, how do you envision yourself relieving some of that financial pressure on our residents?
Yeah, I think so one of the things that I truly believe in is something we call workforce housing, right? So I believe that if you work in the city, if you live and you work in the city, you should be able to you should be able to live where you work. So workforce housing will provide professionals an opportunity to have an opportunity to have a condo, an apartment, a home at a discounted rate so that they can afford to live in the city, which means that they don't have to, work in Maryland, work in Virginia, and drive into the city, because what that means is you're coming into the city and you're spending all your money someplace else, right? So providing workforce housing gives individuals a pathway to housing, right? We also need to make sure that there are mechanisms in place for individuals to actually have access to housing, especially our marginalized youth, who often go homeless, and we're not even talking about that, right? So I think we need programming, right, for our youth, but we also need a mechanism like workforce housing that gives young professionals an opportunity to live close to where they work, to keep their spending within the city. And when that happens, when you have a teacher who lives right down the street from the school, it actually transforms the school, because now the teachers feel a part of the community and the students see the teachers within the community.
Speaking to the workforce element,
Yeah.
right? So over the last 3 years, over 175 restaurants have closed in DC, taking thousands of jobs and taking a lot of income.
Yeah.
If and when elected, how do you envision, supporting, truly sustaining and supporting the small business and the businesses that come to DC or that start in DC?
Yeah. I do think that we need to be deliberate about saying that we want to support small businesses, right? We need to have policies that support those small businesses. I also think that this is a great time to talk about federal overreach, right? So many federal workers were fired, which has had a tremendous impact on our economy, especially downtown. Individuals who would come into the city and frequent these businesses are now gone, and now many of these businesses are no longer here in the city. In Washington, D.C., where people who do not live here can actually control our budget, that's not right. We as voters, we need to understand that we are all on the front lines of our democracy. We are holding on to our democracy by a thread, home rule. And we need to vote, We need to research candidates. We need to do all of the things necessary to ensure that everyone is getting out to vote, right? Because I think that is definitely tied to our economy, right? I think we need to fight for home rule. We need to fight for statehood. We also need to identify programs that support small businesses to keep them thriving.
Very well said. Now, before we come to a close, when we spoke to a lot of the community members, a lot of the residents, they all get kind of turned off to like the term politician, right?
Yeah.
Now, you spent a lot of time in the community serving in what I think is the most important part of the infrastructure, the school system.
Yes, sir.
What do you see the difference, or if so, any difference between the politician and the public servant? And if, what would you consider yourself?
I mean, I consider myself a public servant. And because the work of a public servant is to serve the public, right? And that should be the work of a politician. I know some people feel, I think our current administration in the White House has given us a negative view of politics and politicians. But I think a good politician is a public servant, someone who listens to the community, someone who's actually in the community. That's why I love, this opportunity in your work, because you're actually in the streets. I think there's no way that a politician can do his or her work without being and listening to the people, right? Like I had a wonderful conversation with a constituent this morning. She gave me a ton of feedback, right? That feedback makes me better. That feedback enables me to serve the community better. That's what a politician does, right? That's what a public servant does, right? You're listening for issues and you're taking action, right? Like I said, one of the toughest decisions I had to make was to leave the classroom. I left the classroom because I saw the disparities and I said, you know what? I'll do whatever I have to do. And putting myself out there and running this race has been one of the most difficult things I've ever done in my life. But if it's going to help the community, it's worth it, right? That is what a politician or a public servant should do. They should commit themselves to ensuring that our school systems are world class, that our systems and structures are running efficiently, that everyone has access to affordable housing, because that is a human right, right? Yeah, that's how I would make the distinction. I see myself as a public servant and a politician. And I would just answer that question by saying a good politician serves the people.
Before we let you go,
Yeah.
First of all, thanks again for your time.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you.
Before we let you go, people want to go to these polls June 16th.
Yes.
Why should they write you in as their first ranked choice for city council?
Yeah. I mean, simply put, for over 22 years, I've been a public servant. I've worked with communities to solve problems. I've worked with different types of constituents, right? And that type of learning, that type of collaboration is something that we all need, right? So that we have a business community. We have families who send in their preschoolers to school. We have so many different types of individuals who live in this city, and we need someone who will listen and work collaboratively to solve problems and write legislation, right? And provide oversight and manage our budget. I have those skills, I learned those skills, and I'm thankful to have this opportunity to run and speak with you.